You are joining co-hosts Carol and Jamie of twogalshomesteading.com. Let them help you unleash the homesteader within. Let's start homesteading. Let's start now.
Hi, I'm Carol Radke.
And I'm Jamie Kappas, and we're Two Gals Homesteading.
We'd like to give a special thank you to picosupply.com for sponsoring our podcast.
Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Carol.
Oh, my goodness. We're going to get together and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on each of our homesteads.
Yes.
You homestead in the city. I homestead on a farm.
The city.
The city. Duh, city. So first, I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in to listen to us cackle here, as Rich calls it. Actually, this is what Jamie and I used to do.
In the milk room.
In the milk room. We should call it milk room chat is what we really should call it. And she'd spend about an hour here with us talking back and forth. So now we just simply moved it into the house at the table.
And her husband started recording us.
Yes. And my husband started recording our talks. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on. And I'll let you start, Jamie. What's something you did this past week or two in your kitchen or on your homestead that we're in spring right now?
We're spring.
Supposedly.
Well, we did not get the snowstorm they said we were supposed to get. And I'm like, yes.
Yes. I know your flower beds, your garden beds are under snow.
Yeah.
And you're anxious to get out there.
Yes. And so that was it. Our local running store, they had stock tanks on sale. And actually, while this started out, we were in there and I was looking at, they had, 4x4 garden boxes.
I saw those for $50. Yep.
But I only wanted 2x2 because I'm pulling out my my raspberry plants.
Oh, that's right.
Because the rabbits had chewed them off to the ground again. And I'm just like, the effort to keep the grass down between them is driving me crazy. I was looking at those and Bob goes, well, why don't you just get that thing? And I'm like, how much is that? And I'm like, I don't know. And so we went and asked somebody and they were on sale for $99.
Then this is a galvanized
golf stock tank. We're going to drill holes in it or come fill the bottom part with wood chips because our city chips wood and just piles it. And then you can come take as much you want. And then I'll come out and get some compost from you. And then Bob goes, they're 2 feet tall. Less bending for me as I'm bumping up against since 60.
Okay, so what are you growing? Because now this is up against your garage.
Yeah, well, up against our storage shed.
Okay.
When am I growing it? I have no idea yet.
Okay. Is it going to be fairly shady there or?
No, actually.
It's full sun for part of the day anyway?
Part of the day, more afternoon sun because it's right between our garage and our storage shed. I have intentions of to this year being more herbs. I want to expand my herb garden more. And so
that would be a nice way to contain some of those that have a tendency to go wild, right? Because you have them kind of in.
Last year I had a couple types of basil and something attacked it in the late fall, and it got all of it. And so I thought, okay, if I put basil in a couple places, maybe I would get more than I did last year towards the end of the year. I can freeze dry it more, hopefully to be more up on that. And that's the big news is I have a freeze dryer at my house.
Yes.
I
heard and seen.
and so I have started cleaning things out of my freezer, buying sales. It's like they had mushrooms on sale. So I bought mushrooms. Pineapples were on sale. So they are going to be cut up tonight and put in the freezer because I pre-freeze almost everything.
It does save a lot of time in the freeze dryer if you have it frozen first. If you can do that.
Yep, if you have space to do that. Yep. I have made cheese, of course. Why else would I be buying 6 gallons of milk or 8 gallons of milk a week? And then so I made cheese making, and then I have a lot of cheese whey. And so I'm like, I did water my plants with it 2 weeks ago as an experiment.
Did you water it down?
Yes. What I read is 50-50 with water, but I went 25-75 just in case.
Yeah, because I got a lot of plants in your house.
I have burnt plants before with fertilizer, and 2 weeks now they're still alive, and I'm thinking, okay, it didn't kill them.
Do you think it
couldn't hurt
them grow?
I don't know. Anything? It's only been 2 weeks. No, I don't.
Okay.
No, it's like
they don't all sent like. Woo, we're super
nothing.
green now or something.
No,
No.
miraculous anything.
Somebody started flowering that hasn't flowered in a year.
Yeah, yeah, no, nothing. But it's a way to use it and stuff. But then I'm trying to do caramel, make caramel with it. I burnt the first batch because
Well, good thing you have lots of whey.
I'm using my crock pot because I don't have the patience to sit there and stir it on the stove. I watched a video the other day. It took this guy 6 hours. I'm like, I am making cheese in 6 hours. I am not making caramel in 6 hours on the stovetop anyway. So, but I am taking 24 hours in a slow cooker. And that's not a lot of hands on. I stir it every now and then. And so I'm doing another batch.
Okay, so how much whey do you start with?
I filled my crock pot. It was just
Probably
under 2 gallons.
2 gallons.
I
of
mean,
whey?
it was full to the top.
Okay, so you got approximately 2 gallons.
Yeah.
Of whey.
And then
And how much did you add sugar?
not at first. You cook it down.
Yep.
This recipe website, you said you cook it down to 50% or reduce it by 50%, and then
Yep.
you add your sugar.
How much
And-
sugar you put in there?
Oh, I just remember it's 2 tablespoons of butter because it was a lot less than the other ones. Was it a cup of sugar? I want to say it was a cup of sugar.
Okay.
And then you let that cook down until about 75%. And then you're supposed to put it on the stove. I didn't even have patience for that. So I put it back into my smaller crock pot that has a keep warm. And so I kept it on warm overnight. And it looked caramelish, but it's not as thick. It's more, I say it looks more like a pudding right now. It's a little more than a pudding, a little thicker than a pudding, but it's not as thick as a caramel, like a caramel apple.
How does it taste?
Okay. I'm thinking it needs the more butter.
Okay.
It need-
And the butter incorporated fine for you?
Yes, it
Okay,
did.
perfect.
Because
So when did you put the butter in?
when it was down to like 75%.
Okay, you put the butter in and then you put it into the other crock pot.
Yeah, and then I put it in the other crock pot, and then I left it another 12 hours. And last night I put it in the refrigerator going, do I cook it more or no, we're just going to leave it.
Now, sometimes you just want to be done.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
I mean, that's the cheese making. When I'm making cheddar cheese, it's like I'm doing 4 gallons in 2 pots because physically I cannot lift 4 gallons out. I have a pot big enough for 4 gallons, but I don't think I could physically lift and not risk making a mess
Yep. Well,
because I would have to stand on a step stool to lift it up high enough.
Oh,
because
yes,
I'm a-
you're a little shorter.
I'm
than I
5'1".
am. Yep, you're shorter than I am.
And
Okay.
so I
that
do.
makes sense.
So I do 2 pots and stuff. And by the time I'm done with that, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, well, the cheese recipe that we both use, we use the
And
same
we-
recipe.
Yeah, I like it.
It is
It's
a
really
6-hour
good.
process to get it to Kurt's,
Yep.
to get it to the pressing point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And the pressing is not big,
No.
but my family loves it. We have not cut into any wheels yet.
Okay.
Am I a month into it? But the cheese curds, I am making cheese curds. That's why I'm making 2 batches because I make a wheel and then I have cheese curds.
Oh, and, you
And
got
they're
it split in
eating
half? Yeah.
they're eating a batch of cheese curds weekly.
No wonder you're buying so much milk from me.
It's like, oh, and then I make mozzarella because we make a lot of dishes with mozzarella cheese. And so I'm making a double batch of mozzarella and then I make a double batch of cheddar.
So that uses your 6 gallons that you get.
No,
right?
that's 2, 4, 6. Yeah, that is 6 gallons.
That's 6 gallons because lots of times you pick up another 2 gallons towards
Yeah, it
the
depends
weekend.
on, it's like, and I have we're out of milk. So I have, because then I will usually clabber a gallon of milk.
Oh, that's right.
Every
You do
other
that-
week or
yeah,
so.
You do that clabbering so you get your sour cream and
My sour cream or cottage cheese.
Yep.
Or I made cheese with it. I drained the whey out of that this week and it's it turned out a little thinner than
cream cheese.
cream cheese, but it's not, the video that we talked about when we were talking about raw milk, was it? Where I talked about Carolyn made it into balls and then rolled it
Oh,
and
yes.
preserved it in oil. I don't think it's thick enough to do that because I'm doing it in a yogurt strainer, a Greek yogurt strainer in the refrigerator. Yeah, I'm wondering if because I drained the whey off it last night, stirred it around, and I looked at it just before I came out here and it had more whey had released from it yet. So it's not releasing as fast. So maybe if I was more patient. But I thought this would be good for my cheese ball. You know, how I make the shredded
Yep.
cheddar and the bacon bits and herbs and eat
the
it
cream
with
cheese.
Yep. And I would not bake this one probably, but I would use it like a cracker dip.
Oh, that sounds
I'm like
good.
going, and I have started seeds.
Yeah. You were
Yep. And I
telling me
noticed
you had
my
your hands dirty.
Yep. And my tomato seeds are up, but my peppers aren't. And
Are you concerned?
No, because different germination. I was like, the only thing is that I was like, oh, I have 3 cherry tomatoes and the whole tray of peppers, and those cherry tomatoes are up and ready to needing to go under the lights in my basement.
Oh.
And I'm like going, oh, those peppers kneel still, because I have them set on my radiators. I have hot water radiators. I live in a 100-year-old house, and that's my heat mat for my seedlings. And I'm like,
So how much longer do you think it's going to take your peppers to show up?
I don't know, because I'm going to need to move them. I do have heat mats that I could put down on my shelving in the basement. For now, I'll probably give them another day, but they're starting to stretch, and so I don't want to leave them. I was going to move them today down in the basement, and so I will either move the whole tray down, put a heat mat down, or I may try to pick those 3 tomato plants out and put them in another tray and put them downstairs.
And put them downstairs while your peppers try to catch up to your tomatoes.
But I have lots of flower seeds yet that I want to start. But I have your tomatoes and peppers in there.
Awesome.
I'm like, I'll find somebody to use all these plants. I do that every year. It's like, because you never know how many you will kill.
Right.
And so you always need to plant extra. And I'm thinking, I always find somebody.
Some poor soul.
Yeah.
Like
we'll get Carol into this garden thing again.
I'll probably have a partial garden anyway.
A pot or 2.
Yeah, something like that. Grow some tomatoes. I love tomatoes and peppers.
Oh,
and
fresh
cucumbers. Those are like my 3 things that I like to grow.
So what have you been doing?
Well, I haven't been doing a whole lot. The Harvest Right freeze dryer has been running over here. We did... Let's see, what was the last thing I did in here? I do believe I did ground beef, and
okay.
I've got more ground beef in the basement. Yes, I
Okay.
cook mine. So it's ready for hot dish. So I also have to do is put water on it or beef broth, which I have done as well. Makes it tastier. I can just use it right away. But I have another 2 trays of ground beef downstairs, and I made beef stew, and I made a huge batch of beef stew.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've got another tray of beef stew down there, also freezing, getting ready to go into. So I got to find one more. I need one more tray.
One more tray of something.
So I can fill that up. And, I prefer to run stuff that's very similar.
I have done guacamole, and the guacamole flavors or fragrances, the freeze dryer. Yeah, I will, even after defrosting it and drying and leaving the door open, I can still smell faint
smell
guacamole. And stuff. And so
okay.
I have so I'm not mixing onions with pineapples or pears, or I'm trying to keep it fruits, veggies, or things that mingle together well.
Yep. That would work well anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else did I do? I made dill pickle bread to go with that stew that we had.
Oh, I thought you were going to freeze dry it.
No, I'm not freeze drying the bread. The bread probably is gone already. Rich really
I love your dill
I have
pickle
to.
bread.
I have to share that recipe.
You
sometime.
have, and you should share it on the the page.
Share it on our page.
And I have pickle juice saved for that. I should just put that on my list of things to do.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
We'll get together sooner or later.
Yeah,
It'll be an excuse, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And other than that, really, as far as my kitchen, not so much, but
the farm has been busy.
The farm has been very busy with milk sales and cream sales and egg sales. It's just been a little crazy here. Enough that we're selling enough that we are like, gosh, can we make butter today? Do we have any cream left over for making butter for the house? Because it's just my milk sales have been really crazy, and so the last 3-4 days I've been online looking to possibly purchase a bulk tank.
That would make it so much easier around here.
Yep, right now we have a 600-gallon bulk tank, and that is just too big. We don't have enough cows to fill that. We have a lot of cows, but not enough for that to run and not freeze our milk. And so that vessel there has been sitting there for 3 years, 4 years now, not being used. And so I bottle all our milk, put it in coolers so I can chill it fast enough. And so there's a lot of labor involved with bottling and then dealing with milk customers, which is just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just it's taking a lot of time. And so we are almost at the point where we can purchase the bulk tank, and they are not cheap.
No,
They are
I
not
was
cheap.
shocked.
Yep. The one we're looking at is over $5,000. And so it's a little bit of a
That
ouch.
just like,
Yep.
can I swallow?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, our milk sales are doing well, and I'm not afraid to purchase it. It's just then it's like, okay, we have to do something with the 600-gallon tank.
Yeah.
And then we have to figure out, because we have refrigerant that we have to worry about. There's a few other things that have to happen, like we need to have some company come out and get the refrigerant out of the current bulk tank.
You
and
have to
all that
reclaim
stuff.
it.
Yep, and reclaim all that. And so there's a few other expenses that come along with that.
So it's just not the $5,000 for the bulk tank. You need another few $1,000s to get it installed. To uninstall your current one.
Yeah, to take the one out. This one, the unit we're looking at happens to be a milk plan. And I'm looking at Hamby's Dairy Supplies, which is out of Missouri. It's a completely self-contained unit. So it's basically you set it down and you plug it into the wall. All there. You don't have to do anything special. But because of the way we milk, we have to order extra stuff because we actually milk with pipeline. The unit is set up to take your milk in a pail and dump it into the top of the tank. And so we have to order special lids and everything to attach our pipeline.
Okay, that explains the pictures you sent to me.
Yeah, that's a whole dairy thing. If you don't do dairy, you might not quite understand how that all works. But in order to use our pipeline and to put it in there, we have to have a special lid that the pipeline can dump into and stuff.
Connect to and stuff. Yeah, clamp to.
Everything adds to that little price tag there. So it'll probably well over $6,000 by the time we have all of that. And then there's the tanks are in such demand that you have probably a very short window of time to order them because they are extremely popular right now.
Oh.
Yes. In fact, I was on one website and they're like, okay, all our 30-gallon tanks are already gone.
Oh.
They're already sold out. And it's like they just came available here in March. And we're in not even mid-April yet. And
first week of April.
Yeah, those are gone. And so it's like, oh, goodness. I'm looking for a bigger tank. So probably not quite as demandy, but every website I am on, it says, please call to make sure you don't order something that we don't have in stock.
Oh, for availability.
Yep, type thing. So it'll be interesting and exciting, and we will announce it when we actually make that purchase.
You'll have to.
Have
of course, we'll take pictures.
Yes. But we have the whole logistics. We got to get rid of the tank that's in the milk room right now to make room for this other tank. And
because
we're wintry kind of like yet. And
then we're getting to, to be able to move that, you need to bring in heavy equipment. We're at that stage of the year where it's thawing, freezing. Because that was one of my questions today is like, how close can I get to the house? Do I have to walk in? Is it at that stage where I have to walk in because it's really muddy right now? But I didn't. I was able to drive up to the door.
It was sub-freezing temperatures right now.
But to get equipment in, strong enough equipment in to lift that bulk tank out, probably find a buyer for it because you're just not going to leave it sit.
Oh, I don't know. It'll probably sit here. I'm not sure. It's a 600-gallon tank, and that is like a size that
nobody wants. Either
they want 100 gallons or less, or thousands of gallons. You have their big dairies and your little tiny dairies. And then I do hear that sometimes they use them for brewing, but I don't know if a 600-gallon tank is a desirable tank for wineries, breweries, that type of thing.
Well, you have to sick rich on it.
Yeah, well, we'll figure something out, but it's
still,
a transition.
So the ground has to be firm enough for you to be able to get equipment in to get that out and to be able to get the new bulk tank in.
Exactly. So I have a milk customer.
You have a few.
I have a few, but this particular one was actually here this morning. And I mentioned the bulk tank to her, and I know her husband works for a manufacturing company. And I said, well, we're looking at getting this bulk tank. And she's like, want my husband to get on it for you and see if they can maybe make a custom one for you or something. She said, I'm not real sure, whatever. But anyway, I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. I'll send you the link of what I'm looking at and you guys take a look at it and see what you can do. And my text just before you came, she was like, well, I sent it all off to him and he's going to talk to his managers and stuff because he's like the president of the company. Oh. And so she's like, they're going to see what they can do. That's not exactly what they do building bulk tanks, but they do commercial cheese
Custom?
vats and stuff like that.
Okay.
For big multi-million-dollar
You're just this
corporations,
little-
and we're just this little.
little-
But they want to start in the local market and doing things for smaller farms and that type of thing. And we might just have a prototype type thing
Yep,
coming
a beta.
over this way, yeah, whatever. So I'm like, here's Rich's number. Call him, talk to him, because I really don't know the logistics of all this stuff. So that might be something exciting that's going on here. Might have some interns coming out here to help build something for us.
Oh.
So we'll see where it goes. It's just in its infancy right now,
Yeah.
truly. And we'll just see what happens, and we'll keep you guys updated on what might be happening out here. In other news, let's see. I have 3 cows due here this spring so far. I have a couple that I'm questioning, but I have yet to confirm a bump of a calf on them, as we call it. I go up next to my cow and I give her a little nudge in the belly, and I can tell if there's a calf in there or not. And
Okay.
she has to be about 6 to 7 months pregnant before I can successfully find one. And then the baby's got to be laying kind of in the right spot.
Does the baby, it's like a human, so does the baby kick back?
It
Okay.
sure does. It'll bounce back at you. And sometimes you can just look at them and you can see the baby moving.
Moving? Okay.
But not always. And you always find the baby. Baby's always on the right side. Right side is rugrat. Left side is lunch, as they say.
Oh, okay.
And so my cows get really sick of me bumping them to see if there's a baby there or whatever, but they get used to it. I think they like
Your
it.
girls like you.
Yeah, my girls like me. Let's see. Anything else happened? This morning, we received an email
Yeah.
from The Land, which is a local Minnesota ag paper, asking us to do an interview with them. They find what our podcast intriguing and what we're doing.
Like
And
going.
so we're like,
I just kind of giggle.
I have actually been interviewed by The Land before for
Oh.
our farm. And no, this is a 2 gals thing. So that's
Well,
kind of
see,
exciting.
Part of me is still like going, oh, they want to talk to us.
I know. I find,
I mean, I still like going, I can't believe people listen to when a local friend or something comes up and go, I listen to you. And I'm like going, huh? Like your podcast. And I'm
Why?
like, oh yeah.
why? Oh, yeah, well, I don't know. It's kind of weird when people say
Yeah, when they say that to you
yeah,
and you're like
they're-
going,
yeah,
okay.
you're like, oh, okay.
Because I'm like
Um,
going, I'm nobody special.
Yeah, well, Rich just joined a group somewhere, and he was talking to someone there. Oh, yeah, I listened to that podcast. So we have people who listen to us.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, really? That's
Well,
interesting.
even I'd be kind of like, well, he's, Rich is the number guy and he sits and tells his numbers and I'm like going, what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just this person in small town Minnesota that really don't, yes, I have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, in 58 years, you do gain a little bit.
Yep.
And, this is our milk room talk.
Exactly.
And so it's still funny to me.
Yeah, we'll be getting back to Laura at The Land magazine and probably scheduling that interview here. And
When I'm out here.
yes, we'll probably do it on our regular podcast day when you're already here visiting.
Yeah, that way
That
we
should
only have
be-
one phone where we're not trying to do that dual screen, dual phone thing.
Right. I think that'll just work better. And that was kind of her suggestion that she come out on a day when you're already here. See, I don't know if there's anything else really going on. I did make Gouda cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I tried Gouda cheese. Boy, I tell you.
Does it have to age?
Yes, it does. It says that Gouda it slowly gets its flavoring. And so it's probably a 3-month cheese.
Oh.
But it's so much shorter than making cheddar. I was like 3 hours instead of 6
Oh.
hours.
So Gouda's a cheese. I'm trying to think. I need to look at making other cheese. Cheddar and mozzarella are our main cheeses in our house. But I like Gouda and I like provolone. My son Ben and I are the provolone. We like it on our hamburgers. And so I was like going, hi, should I like make some of that now? I'm trying to build up my cheddar, because it's got to age.
Right.
As best as we can do with what we have. And so you need a supply because they say good cheddar is 2 to 3 months?
At least.
Yeah. And so it's like you need to build up your supply. I've only a month into this. You're 3 months into
3
it?
months. I started in January. And I've got now the cheddar recipe that we currently use that makes the really good curds. Now the first wheel, we just repackaged it here. And I don't think it tastes much different than it did when we first tasted it maybe a month ago. It's still just a real mild cheddar. It's good. It's
Yeah.
just very mild, and I prefer sharp cheddar, so it might take a while in our conditions
Yeah.
using a refrigerator and vacuum sealing it. I think it's going to take a lot longer, but it seems to be, holding its own.
Now,
This is the stuff that I had in the Ziploc bag,
Okay.
and so I did get mold on it, so I cleaned that all up, and then we repackaged it and vacuum sealed it.
Vacuum sealed it.
So we had like a quarter wedge out of it already, and so I cut
Yeah.
what was remaining into 3, and so we vacuum sealed 2 of them, and I put the other one into just a cheese bag that I ordered off of Amazon. I have that sitting there, and I'm gonna probably shred that, and we'll just use it on tacos or burgers or whatever as we go here, just to use that piece up. And then I've got the other 2 just tucked away. Again, we'll check them in a month or so and see how they turn out.
Do you need your second refrigerator now?
I don't know. If we could really use a cheesecake, that would be
So they say
ideal.
you were saying it's like I have no refrigerator space.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I haven't started. I'd like to make like your sauerkraut that you do, but I
You
don't
have no space.
I have no space in my fridge to do that. Our refrigerator, we're kind of limited as to how big of a fridge we can have in our kitchen.
Yes, because it's right by your door.
Yep, and this house was built in probably the early
70s?
70s, and so refrigerators today are much bigger than they were
Yes.
back then, and so we're kind of limited as to how much space or how big of a refrigerator we
Yep.
can put in.
You can't
And plus,
put French
I don't want to
doors.
pay. I don't want to pay for a new
Yeah.
refrigerator these days. Are you
I-
kidding me? At that price, it should cook your food for you
Yeah.
too, shouldn't it?
And it's like Bob can keep, I have a 22-year-old refrigerator, 23-year-old refrigerator. Bob just keeps fixing it.
Yeah.
It is not pretty anymore.
Well, you have 2 refrigerators,
Oh, yeah,
though, so
I
you
have-
do kind of have a backup.
Yeah,
if
I
you
do have a
needed it.
backup, but it would be scrambling because it's full of ferments.
Yep. So, okay. I don't know if there's anything else really
No,
going
that's it.
on. Once the snow melts and
Then
the
you-
gardens start and all that, and spring calving starts, we
Yep.
will.
We're going
be
into the busy season.
busy season. Yes.
Even
most
though I feel
definitely.
like I'm still busy with the freeze
Yes.
dryer.
Yep.
But I'm
Yeah.
looking at going, I need to buy more jars. Because I am vacuum packing all my freeze dried stuff in jars. Because I look at what I'm doing as most people consider short term. I'm looking at a year's.
Mhm.
That's all the way I've always done it. I've always done a year's. I have a year's worth of supplies, food storage in my house. I don't look for 5 years. I'm running out of jars.
Well, putting it in the Mylar bags is great, but you got to have a storage vessel that doesn't allow rodents into
Yeah,
it. And I think
which you have a
glass-
bigger issue than I do.
Yeah, but I just think that glass is a lot easier. Plus, you can see it.
I can see. Yes.
I love looking at my stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that probably covers everything.
That's our chat for this week.
That's our chat for this week. We want to thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to chatting again.
Check us out on
Check us out on twogalshomesteading.com.
with the number 2.
Two Gals Homesteading on Facebook and Instagram, and we do update pretty close to daily on there.
Yeah, there's some kind of post on there daily.
Yeah. Anyhow,
So until next time.
Put some kefir on it.